Did you know that most people walk incorrectly? Most people walk using their thighs and not their feet. And I bet you're thinking, but no, wait a minute, doesn't everyone walk using their feet? Besides, how else could they walk? Today, I'm going to show you how most people walk using their thighs and not their feet, and how you can improve the way you walk regardless of your age. Plus, if you wait till the end of the video, I'm going to show you why most people actually walk incorrectly. This is going to shock some of you, and for the others, you're probably not going to believe that it's true. Welcome back to the Muscle Repair Shop. My name is Butch Phelps, and today we're going to talk about how to walk correctly. Now, for most of us, the last time someone taught us how to walk, we were probably 2 years old. And at that time, if we could walk without falling down and hitting our head on the floor, our parents were ecstatic, and we got a lot of cheers for that. But when you think about it, when was the last time in your life somebody actually talked to you about the mechanics of how you walk? And why do you walk the way you walk? You've always seen people where their feet are turned slightly outward. Other people, their feet are turned slightly inward. You get some people, they walk on the outside of their foot, the outside of the heel. I bet for some of you, if you picked up your old shoes, you'd see on one or both shoes that the outside of the heel is worn more than the inside of the heel. And we've got all these machines, and I find it amusing that they'll have you to come to the store, stand on this machine, when really and truly you could find out the same information just by taking an old pair of shoes, turn them over, and see how the sole is being worn. If it's worn on the outside, well then that means you're walking on the outside of your foot. If it's worn by the big toe, that means you're pushing off really heavy with your big toe. If it's worn on the outside of the heel, then the chances are when you take a step, your feet turn outward slightly and you're pushing off from there. The goal, obviously, from the machines in the store is to sell you inserts for your shoes. But the key here is to understand that what you're feeling in your feet, or the way you hit the ground with your feet, does not necessarily mean that that's a foot issue. And I realize that seems a little strange, because it's like, but if my foot hurts, don't I have a foot issue? Maybe, maybe not. When we're done today, you'll have a better understanding as to how the muscles in the calves and the muscles in the feet can affect your balance and also affect the way you walk. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be inspired enough to go out and start walking a different way to help improve your body from your feet to your head. So let's dive right in. So one of the things that I watch when I see people walk is I'm looking for how their feet hit the ground. So if a person is walking where the outside of their foot is hitting the ground first and it rolls into the inside of the foot, I know that the inside calf muscle is usually tight. And what that happens is when the inside calf muscle is tight, it literally shifts the foot up in a position like this. So you're hitting here and you come down to hit on your big toe to balance yourself. Now, if somebody walks on the inside just the opposite, well then obviously the calf muscle on the outside is tight. So remember, your calf has 4 muscles in it, and those 4 muscles are responsible for the vertical movement of the foot in walking, the lateral movement in the foot for balance, and the rotational movement in the foot so that you can turn in different directions more smoothly without damaging your knees or damaging your hips or even your low back. And believe it or not, when those muscles are tight, you can get pain in all of those places, even up to your neck, based on how tight the muscles in the calf are. So this is a very important thing for every human being. When you're looking at your foot here and you're working to try to walk better, I see most people working out or they're walking for exercise, and they take these really long strides and they're swinging their arms really hard to get that energy up, that cardiovascular work up. And what I really see from my perspective is someone who's probably going to have back pain at some point or knee pain at some point, and more than likely with the way they're swinging their arms, they're probably going to have elbow tendonitis, or not elbow tendonitis, but shoulder tendonitis, or some issue up in the neck and upper part of the shoulders up here. What we want is we want the body to be able to move freely. Now I know for a lot of you, you've heard people say, especially even doctors who would say, never ever walk on hard surfaces without shoes on. That is really sort of a mistake. Now I realize that for the ones of you who have tight calves and tight feet, walking on a hard surface is very, very painful. And so when they say that to you, it feels like that's really true because that's what you feel. The reality is that what happens there is the foot is not very soft, so the arch in your foot cannot flex the way it's supposed to. And also the calves, because we never really teach people how to stretch their calves, are not fully stretched out either. And so what happens is that the ankle will not bend, the arch will not flex. So when you step down on something that's hard, then chances are you're going to hit your heel first. And secondly, when you put pressure down on the ball of your foot, which is actually the knuckles of the toes, those two bony spots, the heel and the knuckles of the toes, there's not much padding between those bones. And so when you hit a hard surface, that becomes extremely painful. What I want you to understand is that the arch of your foot should feel as soft as the palm of your hand. So squeeze the palm of your hand in here like I'm doing here, and then set it in a chair and squeeze the arch of your foot. They should feel very similar and very soft. And if not, now you have some work to do to soften that arch up. Now some people will say, just soften that arch up, get a frozen bottle of water and roll it and roll it and roll it and roll it. It sounds great on the beginning, but the reality is understanding how the brain releases that, you're probably not going to attain that goal. Secondly, when you're trying to soften it, use the pads of your thumb, or you can even use a golf ball if you can't reach your feet at this point, but just press one spot at a time, breathe out, and allow that muscle to relax. Now for the calf, I do have a specific calf stretch for it, and if you go to some of my other videos on the calf itself, and I think I did one earlier on walking as well, you'll see how to do that calf stretch. And when you free that up, that'll cause your ankles then to bend more, and as the ankles bend more, now you can walk with your torso straighter. So here's the thing, when the ankles won't bend beyond 90 degrees on their own, when you take a step, you are more likely going to lead with your nose rather than your belly button. And when you walk, you should really be leading with your belly button. Because if you lead with your nose, you're going to get neck and shoulder pain and wind up with head forward posture. And chances are the shoulders are even going to round this way just from the way you walk. How weird is that? So remember I told you in the opening that I had a surprise as to why people do that? Here's the surprise. It's your shoes. Yes, let me say that again. It's your shoes. We have been told our whole lives, now I'm in my early 60s, and I remember my entire life my mother would say, doctors would say, good shoes has arch supports, heel supports, and a thick sole for cushioning. Here's the problem. The thick sole for cushioning blocks the 272 nerve endings on the bottom of your feet, which blocks the messages from your feet to your brain as to when the gradation of the ground changes. On top of that, that thick sole will not allow the foot to bend. Now keep in mind, each foot has 29 muscles, 26 bones, and 33 articulations. The ankle and the foot have the ability to bend, but when you wear a thick sole shoe, while it may feel comfortable to the bottom of your feet, what's happening is that it's preventing the ankle from actually bending beyond 90 degrees, and it forces you to walk leading with your nose. And again, like I said earlier, that could be neck pain, back pain, hip pain, knee pain. Okay? Now, when it comes to the arch support, for some of you, you may have high arches, and the doctor has said to you, we'll put these arch supports in. because that's going to support that. The reason you have high arches, two reasons. Number one, the arch itself is hard as a rock, so that's got to be soft. And number two, because the ankle won't bend, which has not allowed the calf muscles to extend, it's forcing you to grip more with the arch of your foot, causing that arch to get hardened and become high. A flat arch in reverse is an arch that is weak, and what you'll find there is that people will tend to walk more almost like they're slapping the floor with their feet, because also their ankle is not bending, but they don't have the strength in the foot to grip the ground. And there are exercises for that, and we'll get into that at another time. And then finally, the padded heel, even if it's an athletic shoe, the padded heel will cause you to walk heel-toe. Now, I always thought that heel-toe walking was a human thing. But there's a study by Dr. Lieberman that has shown that with the padded heel, you will be forced to walk heel-toe. That is not how you're supposed to walk. You're supposed to hit the whole foot with the pressure right behind the knuckles of your toes or the ball of your foot, so that the foot can flex, the ankle can flex, you can maintain your balance and walk straight. And then finally on the shoe, anytime you see a shoe does not have a wider toe box on it, when you look at a healthy foot, you will see that that foot does not come into a point. If you wear high heels, it's certainly not going to come into a point like that. But a lot of shoes will come here. So when I see people with balance issues, their feet have been molded to the design of the shoe. That's a mistake, because now the foot can't widen, and it's not soft enough to widen. That's going to affect your balance as you age. And you can increase that when you're barefoot by taking your thumb, for instance, and come right in between the bones, between the toes here, on your, this is on my hand, but on your foot, between the toes here. Work from the toes down, start softening this up so that the foot can go from here to more like this when you step down. So the shoes that you wear has everything to do with how you feel. If they're not bending, then you're going to have issues in your knee, you're going to have issues in your back and possibly your neck. If they have too much support in the arch, then the arch itself can't work properly. And if it's too much of a heel support, you're going to be banging your heel on the ground first, which is driving a lot of pressure up through your body. Once you learn how to soften your feet and lengthen your calf muscles, you'll find that at any age, you can walk on any floor surface without pain. And it seems like a miracle at first, but I'm here to tell you, in my early 60s, my house has tile all through it, and I never wear my shoes in my house. I'm always walking barefoot. My wife, always walking barefoot in our house with no pain. I know I said I was going to show you why people walk with their thighs versus their feet. And the reason for that is that when the shoe is as hard like that, where their ankles cannot bend, when a person takes a step, what happens is as they step forward, the entire body starts to lean forward because the ankle can't bend beyond the 90 degrees. When that happens is that as you step forward, you can take that next step. Notice how my head is out in front of my chest. What I really want is my belly button to be first, so if I step through and my ankle can bend properly, now see my body is more into alignment. So what happens is once the ankle stops at 90 degrees, I have to lift my other leg here to take the next step, and that puts my body back into this position. So what we want is to get that ankle to bend better, and when that happens, now when we walk, we're fully erect and straight, and we can take the pressure off our body, plus we don't overuse our quads. So anyway, so that's it for today, but if you liked what you saw today, be sure to subscribe down below, ring the bell so that every Friday you'll get a notification of our next video, and share this with your friends. And for now, see ya.